Boris Johnson has just won a big majority in Parliament. The question is, what's he going to do with it? I always think the most important time for a new Prime Minister is that 4 or 5 minutes alone in the Downing Street Jaguar, coming back from Buckingham Palace to his headquarters in Westminster, mulling over exactly what he's going to do now that he's got all these options ahead of him. A cabinet reshuffle is probably a fairly long way down the road. So first of all, Boris Johnson will have spent some time celebrating with the staff and his campaign team in Downing Street, and then mulling over exactly how they're going to plan not only the weeks ahead, but the whole year ahead, based on the promise, of course, of getting Brexit done. This new government has a pretty busy week. First of all, it's got to reassemble a fresh parliament. That's likely to sit for the first time on Tuesday. Now, Downing Street's very keen for the Queen's speech to take place as quickly as possible, so that is now scheduled. At least a slimmed down version of the Queen's speech is scheduled for Thursday, where the new policies of this government should be mapped out. But the most important day next week, of course, is Friday. That's when Boris Johnson plans to put his separation deal in front of Parliament again, which of course this time will be carried easily, one, because he has this enormous majority in government, and two, because the Labour Party currently are in complete disarray. That should get him ready to get Brexit done, as he announces it, by the end of January. Of course, that's just the beginning. The headline of the election, of course, was Get Brexit Done. The strategy is to have Britain leave the European Union by the end of 2020. Now that sounds simple, but it's far from straightforward, and most experts working close to the negotiations say it's nigh on impossible to negotiate out of a trade deal with the European Union at the same time as renegotiating a fresh trade deal with the European Union going forward. It's supposed to happen by the end of 2020, but in the summer there's a deadline for any kind of extension that the government might want. So they've got to decide whether or not it's possible by the summer in order to leave at the end of the year. If not, they'll have to ask for an extension, or worse still, the promise that Boris Johnson made, crash out without a deal. He said he wouldn't do that. He might yet have to.